Introduction to the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. The 48 Laws of Power is a book about power, how it is gained, maintained, used, and lost. In the introduction, Robert Greene makes it clear that power is an unavoidable part of human life. Whether in politics, business, relationships, or society, power dynamics exist everywhere, even when people pretend they don't. Greene argues that most people are taught to see the world through morality and fairness, but the real world operates on strategy, self-interest, and perception. Those who ignore this reality often become victims of manipulation, while those who understand it gain an advantage. The book does not tell readers to be evil or immoral. Instead, it exposes how power has actually worked throughout history, using examples from kings, queens, generals, politicians, courtiers, and strategists such as Machiavelli, Napoleon, Sun Tzu, and Louis XIV. A key idea in the introduction is that power is neither good nor bad. It is neutral. What matters is awareness. If you don't understand power, you'll be controlled by those who do. Greene explains that the 48 laws are distilled from thousands of years of human history. They reveal recurring patterns in human behavior, patterns that repeat regardless of culture or era. These laws are meant to help readers protect themselves from manipulation, understand hidden motives, navigate social hierarchies, act strategically rather than emotionally. The introduction also warns readers. Some laws may seem harsh, uncomfortable, or even shocking. That discomfort comes from confronting reality instead of idealism. At its core, the book teaches that power favors the observant, the patient, and the strategic, not the naive or overly trusting. One-sentence summary. The introduction of the 48 Laws of Power prepares the reader to see the world as it truly is, driven by power, strategy, and human nature, so they can protect themselves and act intelligently within it. Law 1. Never outshine the master. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Always make those above you feel superior. When you make a superior feel insecure, threatened, or eclipsed, you trigger their fear, and fear in power leads to retaliation. Point 1. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are. Explanation. Powerful people want to feel exceptional. If you make them look smarter, wiser, or more capable than they actually are, they will value you. If you make them look ordinary, or worse, inferior, they will resent you. How this plays out. Your boss presents your idea as they feel powerful. You openly show you're smarter, they feel exposed. Reality. People in power prefer loyal enhancers over brilliant threats. Point 2. Do not display your talents too openly. Explanation. Talent is dangerous when it is too visible. Showing off intelligence, skill, or creativity may impress peers, but it alarms superiors. Why? Talent creates comparison. Comparison creates insecurity. Insecurity creates hostility. Smart move. Let your talent work quietly in the background. Be effective without being flashy. Point 3. Outshining triggers fear, not admiration. Explanation. You may think excellence earns respect, but in power dynamics, it often creates fear. A superior asks subconsciously, what if others notice this? What if I become replaceable? What if I lose control? Fear never stays passive. It looks for elimination. Point 4. Make your superiors feel comfortable, not challenged. Explanation. Comfort preserves power relationships. Challenge destabilizes them. This doesn't mean being incompetent. It means presenting ideas as extensions of their vision. Asking for guidance, even when you know the answer. Showing appreciation for their experience. Power truth. People reward those who protect their authority. Point 5. Let the master take the credit. Explanation. Credit feeds ego. Ego sustains power. When you allow your superior to claim success, they feel secure. They trust you. They keep you close. When you compete for credit, you create rivalry. You expose ambition. You become disposable. Long-term play. Influence beats recognition. Point 6. Flattery is a survival tool, not weakness. Explanation. Subtle flattery disarms fear. This is not fake praise, it's strategic reinforcement. Highlight their leadership, acknowledge their authority, validate their importance. People rarely attack those who make them feel important. Point 7. Beware of envy. It is silent and deadly. Explanation. Envy doesn't announce itself. It smiles, waits, and strikes later. Signs of envy. Passive resistance, sudden criticism, unexplained coldness. Outshining accelerates envy into action. Point 8. Historical example. Nicolas Fouquet. Explanation. Fouquet hosted a magnificent party that outshone King Louis XIV. The king felt humiliated. Result: Fouquet was arrested, imprisoned for life, his wealth seized. Lesson: even loyalty cannot save you if you embarrass power. Point 9. Modern examples. Workplace and life. Employee embarrasses boss in a meeting, career stalls. Protégé outperforms mentor, publicly relationship ends. Subordinate corrects superior, openly trust breaks. Power is emotional, not logical. Point 10. How to apply this law safely. Praise publicly, correct privately. Offer ideas as questions, not statements. Attribute wins to leadership above you. Shine indirectly through results. Be indispensable, not intimidating. Point 11. Reversal. When can this law be broken? Explanation. You may break this law only when the master is genuinely secure. Your rise benefits them. You are clearly being promoted to replace them. Even then, proceed carefully. Psychological truth behind the law. People forgive mistakes, failure, incompetence, but they rarely forgive embarrassment, ego wounds, loss of status. Key takeaways: exam-friendly. Power is driven by ego. Outshining creates insecurity. Insecurity leads to destruction. Make superiors feel superior. Influence matters more than recognition. One-sentence summary. Never threaten the ego of those above you. Make them shine, and you will survive and rise. Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Friends can betray you out of envy. Enemies can become loyal out of self-interest. This law warns against blind emotional trust and teaches strategic realism in relationships. Point 1. Friends often betray you out of envy. Explanation. Friends know your weaknesses, history, and ambitions. When you rise, they compare themselves to you. Envy quietly grows. Resentment replaces loyalty. Because friendship is emotional, betrayal feels personal, and therefore more dangerous. Power truth. People close to you feel your success most sharply. Point 2. Friends expect more, deliver less. Explanation. Friends believe they deserve special treatment, forgiveness for mistakes, rewards without earning them. This entitlement reduces performance and accountability. Result: they disappoint you and feel offended when corrected. Point 3. Friendship blinds judgment. Explanation. Emotional bonds cloud decision-making. You overlook incompetence. You excuse disloyal behavior. You delay necessary action. Power requires clarity, not sentimentality. Point 4. Enemies are more reliable than friends. Explanation. An enemy who becomes an ally has something to prove. They work harder, stay alert, are motivated by survival or ambition. Their loyalty is earned, not assumed. Point 5. Enemies are driven by self-interest. Explanation. Former enemies know their position is fragile. Their loyalty is being watched. This makes them dependable. Key insight. Self-interest is more stable than affection. Point 6. Historical example. Michael III of Byzantium. Explanation. Michael promoted his childhood friend to power. The friend grew arrogant, became careless, eventually betrayed him. Emotional trust destroyed political safety. Point 7. Use enemies strategically. Explanation. Enemies can be neutralized through reward, redirected through responsibility, converted through opportunity. Turning an enemy into an ally removes a threat and creates a defender. Point 8. Why reconciliation works. Explanation. When you forgive an enemy publicly, you appear magnanimous. They appear indebted. Their loyalty becomes visible. This shifts power in your favor. Point 9. Never reveal everything to anyone. Explanation. Whether friend or enemy. Never expose all plans. Never share all weaknesses. Never assume loyalty is permanent. Power survives through controlled distance. Point 10. Separate emotion from strategy. Explanation. Greene does not say, never have friends. He says, never confuse friendship with power. Friendship belongs to private life. Power belongs to strategy. Point 11. Modern applications, work in life. Promoting a friend, entitlement and decline. Hiring enemies, discipline and performance. Confiding secrets, future leverage against you. Psychological truth behind the law. Friends feel entitled. Enemies feel cautious. Caution creates discipline. Discipline creates loyalty. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Friends may betray out of envy. Enemies are motivated to prove loyalty. Emotional trust weakens power. Self-interest creates reliability. Strategy must override sentiment. One-sentence summary. Trust emotions in private, but in power, rely on self-interest, not friendship. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the true purpose behind your actions. When others cannot predict you, they cannot defend against you. Point 1. Predictability is power's weakness. Explanation. When people know your intentions, they prepare countermoves. They block your plans. They manipulate your expectations. Predictability makes you controllable. Power truth. The moment people can read you, you lose leverage. Point 2. Hidden intentions create control. Explanation. If others don't know what you want, where you're going, what your next move is, they're forced to react, not act. Confusion keeps you ahead. Point 3. Misdirection is a strategic weapon. Explanation. The best way to hide your intentions is to distract people with false goals. Appear interested in something harmless. Let them focus on the wrong threat. While they watch one hand, the other hand moves. Point 4. Say less, reveal less. Explanation. Talking too much exposes motives, reveals emotions, gives others ammunition. Silence creates mystery. Mystery creates authority. Point 5. People project their own motives onto you. Explanation. When intentions are unclear, people assume. You think like them. You want what they want. They misjudge you, giving you advantage. Point 6. Historical example. Otto von Bismarck. Explanation. Bismarck concealed his true political goals behind cooperation, calm diplomacy, false concessions. By the time others understood his intent, it was too late to stop him. Point 7. Open motives invite opposition. Explanation. If people know your goal, rivals unite against you. Allies become cautious. Enemies accelerate sabotage. Hidden goals avoid premature resistance. Point 8. Appear innocent, harmless, or busy elsewhere. Explanation. People lower their guard when they believe. You are not ambitious. You are distracted. You are satisfied. This false sense of security gives you room to move. Point 9. Use smoke screens and decoys. Explanation. Examples. Talk about minor plans while pursuing major ones. Show concern over small issues to hide big strategies. Pretend indecision while planning decisively. Appear transparent, but never be transparent. Point 10. Control information flow. Explanation. Power lies in what you reveal, when you reveal it, to whom you reveal it. Information should serve strategy, not honesty. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Don't announce career moves early. Don't reveal negotiation limits. Don't share long-term plans casually. Don't expose emotional reactions. Silence is protection. Psychological truth behind the law. People fear the unknown. What they fear, they hesitate to challenge. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Predictability destroys power. Hidden intentions create leverage. Misdirection prevents opposition. Silence builds mystery. Information must be controlled. One sentence summary. When people cannot read your intentions, they cannot stop you. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. The more you say, the less powerful you appear, and the more control you give away. Power grows from restraint, not verbosity. Point 1. Words diminish power when used excessively. Explanation. Talking too much reveals insecurity, exposes intentions, invites contradiction. Silence, on the other hand, suggests confidence, authority, self-control. Powerful people do not need to explain themselves. Point 2. Saying less creates mystery. Explanation. When you speak briefly, people pay closer attention. Your words carry more weight. Others project meaning onto your silence. Mystery intimidates and commands respect. Point 3. The more you talk, the more likely you are to say something foolish. Explanation. Excessive speech increases the chance of contradictions, emotional outbursts, revealing secrets. One careless sentence can undo years of work. Point 4. Silence makes others uncomfortable. Explanation. Most people fear silence. When you stay quiet, others talk to fill the gap. They reveal information. They expose intentions. Silence becomes a tool of extraction. Point 5. Brief statements appear more authoritative. Explanation. Short, clear statements sound decisive. End debates quickly. Leave little room for challenge. Long explanations invite argument. Point 6. Talking too much reveals neediness. Explanation. Over-explaining signals desire for approval, fear of misunderstanding, lack of confidence. Power requires emotional independence. Point 7. Historical example. Louis XIV. Explanation. King Louis XIV spoke little and carefully. Result. His words carried enormous weight. Courtiers listened closely. Silence reinforced his authority. Few words, maximum impact. Point 8. Use pauses strategically. Explanation. Pauses create tension, force attention, increase anticipation. A delayed response often feels more powerful than an immediate one. Point 9. Let others reveal themselves. Explanation. When you speak less, others talk more. They expose weaknesses. They give you leverage. Listening is power disguised as humility. Point 10. Control emotions through controlled speech. Explanation. Emotional speech weakens authority, signals vulnerability, encourages manipulation. Calm, minimal speech projects dominance. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Don't over-explain decisions. Don't justify every action. Don't respond immediately to provocation. Don't talk during negotiations unless necessary. Less speech equals more leverage. Psychological truth behind the law. People associate restraint with confidence and verbosity with insecurity. Key takeaways. Exam-friendly. Silence creates authority. Words should be deliberate. Mystery increases power. Listening gathers intelligence. Emotional restraint strengthens influence. Do you know when you subscribe, we are growing? Help us grow. One sentence summary. Say less, and every word you speak will matter more. Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Once damaged, it is extremely difficult to repair. Once strong, it protects you effortlessly. Point 1. Reputation is power in invisible form. Explanation. Reputation travels faster than you, speaks before you arrive, shapes how others treat you. People respond not to who you are, but to what they believe you are. Point 2. A strong reputation creates instant authority. Explanation. When your reputation is solid, people assume competence. Enemies hesitate to attack. Opportunities come to you. You win battles before they begin. Point 3. A damaged reputation invites attack. Explanation. Weak reputation signals vulnerability, lack of protection, low status. People attack what they think they can destroy. Point 4. Guard reputation relentlessly. Explanation. You must. Watch gossip closely. Correct false narratives early. Avoid suspicious associations. Silence in the face of rumors allows them to grow. Point 5. Destroy the enemy's reputation. Explanation. Rather than attack directly, question their integrity. Expose inconsistencies. Undermine credibility. Once reputation collapses, power collapses with it. Point 6. Use reputation as a shield. Explanation. A feared or respected reputation discourages challenges, protects you from scrutiny, reduces resistance. People think twice before crossing someone with a strong name. Point 7. Be proactive, not defensive. Explanation. Don't wait for attacks. Shape your image early. Define your narrative. Let others repeat your story. Control the story, or someone else will. Point 8. Associate with the right people. Explanation. Reputation is contagious. Associations can elevate you, destroy you. Avoid those with questionable credibility. Point 9. One public mistake can undo years. Explanation. Reputation is fragile. One scandal, one careless act, one wrong alliance can erase years of achievement. Point 10. Create a reputation that intimidates. Explanation. You may choose to be known as extremely competent, uncompromising, highly disciplined. An intimidating reputation prevents challenges. Point 11. Historical example, P. T. Barnum. Explanation. Barnum used attention, both positive and negative, to shape reputation. He understood being talked about is power. Controlled controversy builds fame. Visibility creates influence. Point 12. Modern applications, work and life. Online image matters. Consistency builds trust. One viral mistake can define you. Personal branding is modern reputation. Psychological truth behind the law. People prefer shortcuts. Reputation saves them time deciding how to treat you. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Reputation precedes reality. Strong reputation attracts power. Weak reputation invites attack. Control the narrative early. Destroy rivals indirectly through reputation. One-sentence summary. Reputation is the foundation of power. Protect it fiercely, or lose everything built on it. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Visibility is power. Obscurity is weakness. In a crowded world, being ignored is more dangerous than being criticized. Point 1. Attention is the currency of power. Explanation. People cannot follow, fear, admire, or oppose what they do not notice. Power begins with visibility. If no one is watching you, your ideas die, your influence fades, your opportunities disappear. Point 2. It is better to be attacked than ignored. Explanation. Criticism keeps you relevant. Silence erases you. Being controversial keeps you in conversations, forces people to react, makes you memorable. Neutrality leads to invisibility. Point 3. Stand out dramatically. Explanation. Ordinary behavior disappears in crowds. To stand out, be bold, be distinctive, be unforgettable. Mediocrity is invisible. Point 4. Create mystery and spectacle. Explanation. People are drawn to what they don't fully understand. What feels larger than life? Mystery fuels curiosity. Spectacle capture imagination. Point 5. Use symbols, not just substance. Explanation. People respond emotionally to symbols. Style, presence, appearance, ritual. Perception often matters more than reality. Point 6. Control the type of attention you receive. Explanation. Not all attention is equal. You must shape your image. Define the narrative. Avoid appearing weak or desperate. Attention should enhance power, not diminish it. Point 7. Make yourself a brand. Explanation. Consistent behavior and image create recognition. When people hear your name, they should immediately think of something specific. Clarity creates memorability. Point 8. Historical example, P. T. Barnum. Explanation. Barnum mastered publicity. He understood any publicity can be turned into power. Shock attracts attention. Attention creates influence. He never let the public forget him. Point 9. Avoid fading into the background. Explanation. Those who wait quietly for recognition are overlooked, are replaced, are forgotten. Power favors the visible, not the patient. Point 10. Attention magnifies everything. Explanation. Attention amplifies strengths, amplifies weaknesses. This is why reputation, Law 5, must be strong before courting attention. Point 11. Modern applications, business and social media. Personal branding matters. Content creation is visibility. Silence online equals irrelevance. Standing out beats fitting in. Psychological truth behind the law. Human attention is limited. Those who capture it control influence. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Visibility creates power. Controversy beats obscurity. Spectacle attracte influence. Control your narrative. Attention multiplies impact. One-sentence summary. If no one is watching you, you have no power. So make yourself impossible to ignore. Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Use the intelligence, labor, and experience of others to advance your goals, while positioning yourself as the source of success. Power grows by leverage, not exhaustion. Point 1. Power is about leverage, not labor. Explanation. Doing everything yourself slows you down, limits your reach, drains your energy. Those in power coordinate effort. They do not personally perform all tasks. Point 2. Use other people's skills to multiply your strength. Explanation. Others may have more technical skill, more experience, more time. By directing them effectively, you achieve more than you ever could alone. Point 3. The brain should command, not sweat. Explanation. Your value lies in vision, direction, decision-making. Manual effort traps you at a lower level of influence. Point 4. Take credit to consolidate power. Explanation. Credit shapes perception. If others receive public credit, their power grows. Your authority weakens. You may reward privately, but own success publicly. Point 5. People respect results, not effort. Explanation. The world rewards outcomes, achievements, appearances of success. Few care who actually did the work, only who is seen as responsible. Point 6. Historical example, Thomas Edison. Explanation. Edison employed brilliant scientists and engineers. While they invented, Edison branded, Edison patented, Edison received fame. He became a symbol of genius through coordination. Point 7. Avoid being the workhorse. Explanation. Those who work hardest often remain invisible, rarely gain power, become replaceable. Those who direct work gain authority. Point 8. Reward loyalty quietly, not publicly. Explanation. You must keep contributors satisfied. Avoid empowering rivals. Private rewards maintain loyalty without sharing power. Point 9. Let others feel needed, not equal. Explanation. People enjoy being useful, but equality breeds competition. Dependence breeds loyalty. Structure relationships so others rely on you. Point 10. Never appear lazy or incompetent. Explanation. Delegation must look strategic, not careless. You must appear in control, knowledgeable, vision-driven. Power is perception. Point 11. Modern applications, work and business. Leaders delegate execution. CEOs own strategy. Influencers use teams. Managers coordinate talent. Those at the top think, others execute. Psychological truth behind the law. People accept hierarchy when leadership looks decisive and competent. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Power comes from leverage. Delegation multiplies strength. Credit creates authority. Effort without visibility equals stagnation. Direction outranks execution. One-sentence summary. The powerful rise by directing effort, not by exhausting themselves doing everything alone. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. When you force others to react to you, you control the situation. Power belongs to the one who sets the terms of engagement. Point 1. The one who acts desperately loses power. Explanation. When you chase, you reveal need. You give leverage away. You appear weak. Those who pursue are controlled by those who wait. Point 2. Making others come to you puts you in control. Explanation. When others approach you, you choose the timing. You control the environment. You set the rules. Initiative becomes authority. Point 3. Use bait to lure others in. Explanation. Bait can be opportunity, attention, resources, prestige. People move toward what benefits them. Point 4. Absence créate désir. Explanation. What is rare, feels valuable, appears powerful, commands attention. Constant availability reduces perceived worth. Point 5. Let others invest first. Explanation. When people invest effort, they become emotionally committed. They justify their actions. They value the outcome more. Investment creates loyalty. Point 6. Historical example. Napoleon Bonaparte. Explanation. Napoleon often waited for enemies to move first. Result. They exhausted resources. They exposed weaknesses. He struck decisively. Reaction beats overextension. Point 7. Control the arena. Explanation. Meet others. On your terms. On your territory. Under your conditions. The environment shapes outcomes. Point 8. Do not reveal need or hurry. Explanation. Urgency signals weakness, fear, dependence. Calm patience projects strength. Point 9. Power flows to the still point. Explanation. The still point forces others to move, maintains balance, controls direction. Motion creates vulnerability. Point 10. Modern applications, business and life. Let clients seek you. Let opportunities chase you. Build value before asking. Scarcity increases demand. Psychological truth behind the law. People desire what they must work to obtain. Key takeaways. Exam-friendly. Chasing weakens position. Attraction creates control. Scarcity increases value. Patience signals confidence. Power favors the still. One-sentence summary. The one who waits and attracts controls the game. Never chase when you can lure. Law 9. Win through actions, not arguments. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Never try to convince people with words alone. Demonstrate your point through action. Actions silence resistance. Arguments provoke it. Point 1. Arguments create resistance, not agreement. Explanation. When you argue, you challenge people's beliefs. You bruise their ego. You invite defensiveness. Even if you're right, people resent being proven wrong. Power truth. Winning an argument often means losing influence. Point 2. People defend their opinions like identity. Explanation. Beliefs are tied to pride. When attacked, people double down. Logic is ignored. Emotions take over. You cannot reason someone out of a position they are emotionally attached to. Point 3. Actions bypass ego. Explanation. Actions. Speak silently. Leave no room for debate. Allow others to draw conclusions themselves. When people see results, resistance fades. Point 4. Demonstration is irrefutable. Explanation. Words can be disputed. Results cannot. A successful outcome ends discussion, establishes authority, commands respect. Proof beats persuasion. Point 5. Arguments create enemies. Explanation. Publicly correcting or defeating someone verbally humiliates them, builds resentment, creates long-term opposition. Enemies remember embarrassment. Point 6. Historical example, Galileo Galilei. Explanation. Galileo argued scientifically with religious authorities. Result. He won intellectually, lost politically, was imprisoned. Being right is not the same as being powerful. Point 7. Let success speak for you. Explanation. Instead of debating, improve results. Achieve quietly. Let outcomes persuade. Success forces acknowledgement without confrontation. Point 8. Silence can be more powerful than speech. Explanation. Silence frustrates opponents, denies them validation, keeps you above conflict. Those who argue appear insecure. Point 9. Timing matters more than explanation. Explanation. Many truths are accepted only after results appear, are rejected when presented early. Let reality prepare the audience. Point 10. Change minds indirectly. Explanation. If people believe they reached conclusions themselves, they accept them fully. They defend them passionately. Subtle influence lasts longer than forceful persuasion. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Don't argue with critics, outperform them. Don't justify decisions, deliver results. Don't debate leadership, demonstrate competence. Don't explain value, show impact. Psychological truth behind the law. People trust what they experience more than what they're told. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Arguments provoke ego. Actions bypass resistance. Results silence opposition. Demonstration builds authority. Influence grows quietly. One-sentence summary. Prove your point through results. Arguments make enemies. Actions make believers. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Emotional states are contagious. Associate with the unhappy and unlucky, and you will share their fate, no matter how strong or intelligent you are. Point 1. Emotions spread like disease. Explanation. Negativity does not stay contained. Unhappy people complain constantly, see problems everywhere, drain energy and optimism. Over time, their mindset infects yours. Point 2. The unlucky create their own misfortune. Explanation. Unlucky people are often not cursed by fate. They're trapped by poor judgment, negative thinking, repeated bad decisions. Being near them pulls you into the same patterns. Point 3. Pity is a dangerous emotion. Explanation. Helping the unhappy out of sympathy drains your resources, creates dependency, ties you to failure. Compassion without boundaries destroys power. Point 4. Chronic complaining signals inner chaos. Explanation. Those who constantly complain, refuse responsibility, blame the world, résiste solution. They do not want change, they want validation. Point 5. Misery loves company. Explanation. Unhappy people subconsciously sabotage others, undermine success, pull achievers down. Your progress reminds them of their stagnation. Point 6. Historical example. Louis XV. Explanation. Louis XV surrounded himself with pessimistic advisors. Result. Déclin immoral. Poor decisions. Loss of authority. Leadership absorbs the mood of its circle. Point 7. Luck favors energy and optimism. Explanation. Positive people spot opportunities, recover from setbacks, inspire cooperation. Their mindset attracts success. Point 8. Distance is protection, not cruelty. Explanation. Avoidance is not heartlessness. It is strategic self-preservation, emotional hygiene, power discipline. You cannot save everyone. Point 9. Choose environments carefully. Explanation. Places filled with cynicism, bitterness, hopelessness will shape your thinking unconsciously. Environment molds destiny. Point 10. Associate with the energetic and fortunate. Explanation. Seek those who take responsibility, learn from failure, radiate momentum. Their habits reinforce success. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Avoid chronic complainers at work. Don't partner with pessimists. Limit exposure to toxic circles. Protect mental energy. Psychological truth behind the law. Humans unconsciously mirror the emotions of those around them. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Negativity spreads. Misfortune is often self-created. Pity weakens power. Environment shapes outcomes. Energy attracts opportunity. One-sentence summary. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Misery spreads faster than wisdom, and power requires vitality. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. To maintain independence and power, make others rely on you. The more people need you, the less they can oppose or replace you. Point 1. Power comes from being needed. Explanation. When people depend on you for skills, resources, knowledge, access, they hesitate to challenge you. Power truth. Independence makes others disposable. Dependence makes you indispensable. Point 2. Never teach everything you know. Explanation. If you transfer all your skills, you make yourself replaceable. You weaken your leverage. You lose control. Always keep something essential in reserve. Point 3. The less others can function without you, the stronger you become. Explanation. When systems break without your involvement, your value increases. Your authority grows. Your position stabilizes. You become a bottleneck others must respect. Point 4. Avoid empowering rivals. Explanation. Helping others become too independent creates competition, reduces your relevance, invites replacement. Assist but never arm potential threats. Point 5. Control access to what others want. Explanation. Power flows to those who control information, opportunities, networks, resources. Gatekeepers rule quietly. Point 6. Historical example. Otto von Bismarck. Explanation. Bismarck made himself indispensable to the Prussian king. He controlled key negotiations, centralized decision-making, ensured no replacement could match his value. His dependence protected him. Point 7. Create emotional and practical dependence. Explanation. Dependence can be professional, skills, systems, emotional, guidance, stability. The strongest power combines both. Point 8. Independence weakens your position. Explanation. Ironically, helping others become fully independent frees them from loyalty, encourages defiance, makes you irrelevant. Freedom benefits them, not you. Point 9. Scarcity increases dependence. Explanation. If what you provide is rare, hard to replace, difficult to master, dependence becomes inevitable. Point 10. Never appear desperate for dependence. Explanation. Dependence must look natural, not forced. You must appear calm, secure, confident. Desperation signals weakness. Point 11. Modern applications, work in life. Become the go-to expert. Control critical processes. Build unique skill sets. Own key relationships. Replaceability is danger. Psychological truth behind the law. People rarely attack those they rely on. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Dependence creates loyalty. Indispensability ensures survival. Withhold total knowledge. Control access and systems. Scarcity strengthens power. One-sentence summary. Make others depend on you, and your position becomes untouchable. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. One sincere act of honesty or generosity can cover dozens of hidden intentions. People lower their guard when they believe you are genuine. Point 1. A single honest act builds trust faster than words. Explanation. When you show unexpected honesty, people feel safe. Suspicion weakens. Defenses drop. Humans are wired to trust consistency. One clear act can define your image. Point 2. Honesty is most powerful when used selectively. Explanation. Total honesty is dangerous. Selective honesty is strategic. Reveal a harmless truth, a small weakness, a minor mistake. This creates credibility while protecting your real intentions. Point 3. Generosity disarms resistance. Explanation. When you give, people feel indebted. Hostility softens. Opposition weakens. A gift can silence suspicion better than persuasion. Point 4. People confuse kindness with character. Explanation. Most people assume, if someone is generous, they must be trustworthy. This emotional shortcut makes them overlook warning signs. Point 5. Strategic giving creates psychological debt. Explanation. Receiving creates obligation. People subconsciously want to repay, feel loyalty, avoid harming benefactors. Debt binds stronger than fear. Point 6. Historical example. The Trojan horse. Explanation. The Greeks appeared generous by offering a gift. Trojans accepted it, lowering defenses. The result? Totale destruction. The most dangerous attacks often come wrapped in kindness. Point 7. Timing makes honesty more effective. Explanation. Honesty works best early in relationships, after suspicion arises, when trust is uncertain. Once trust is built, manipulation becomes easier. Point 8. Never overuse honesty or generosity. Explanation. Too much looks fake, raises suspicion, weakens authority. Scarcity maintains impact. Point 9. Give small, take big. Explanation. The most effective strategy. Offer small concessions. Gain major advantages. People focus on what they received, not what they lost. Point 10. Appear open while remaining closed. Explanation. You can seem transparent without being exposed. Reveal. Emotion without plans. Stories without strategy. Truths without consequences. Perception matters more than reality. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Admit minor mistakes to gain trust. Offer help before asking favors. Share limited personal stories. Give small wins to gain influence. Psychological truth behind the law. People want to believe in sincerity. It feels safe and comforting. Key takeaways: exam-friendly. Selective honesty builds trust. Generosity creates obligation. Kindness disarms suspicion. Scarcity increases impact. Appear open, stay protected. One-sentence summary. A well-timed act of honesty or generosity can open doors that force never could. Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to self-interest, never to mercy or gratitude. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. People help you most reliably when it benefits them, not when it appeals to their kindness. Self-interest is stronger, more consistent, and more predictable than compassion. Point 1. Self-interest is the strongest motivator. Explanation. People may feel pity today and forget tomorrow, but when they see personal gain, they act faster. They act repeatedly. They remain committed. Power operates on incentives, not emotions. Point 2. Mercy is temporary. Interest is lasting. Explanation. Appealing to mercy makes you look weak, creates discomfort, can breed resentment. Appealing to interest makes cooperation logical, feels rewarding, sustains alliances. People prefer to help when they win. Point 3. Gratitude has an expiration date. Explanation. Even when someone owes you, gratitude fades. Memory weakens. Priorities change. Never rely on past favors. Offer present value. Point 4. Make the other person the hero. Explanation. Frame your request so that helping you enhances their image, strengthens their position, advances their goals. When they see benefit, resistance disappears. Point 5. Hide your need. Highlight their gain. Explanation. Do not emphasize your desperation, your problems, your weakness. Instead, emphasize opportunity, advantage, strategic alignment. People are attracted to strength, not neediness. Point 6. Historical example, Castruccio Castracani. Explanation. When seeking allies, Castruccio offered land, influence, future power, not sympathy, profit. This secured loyalty and expansion. Point 7. Even generous people respond to self-interest. Explanation. Even the kindest individuals prefer feeling useful, enjoy winning, want acknowledgement, appeal to what they value, not what you lack. Point 8. Never assume emotional loyalty. Explanation. People change. Circumstances shift. Interest adapts. Emotion evaporates. Build agreements that survive mood changes. Point 9. Turn requests into opportunities. Explanation. Instead of, "Can you help me?" say, "This helps us both." Shared gain creates shared commitment. Point 10. Make benefits clear and immediate. Explanation. Vague future rewards. Feel uncertain. Reduce urgency. Clear benefits. Accelerate decisions. Reduce doubt. Lock cooperation. Point 11. Modern applications, business and life. Pitch ideas in terms of ROI. Negotiate win-win outcomes. Ask for favors by offering value. Sell benefits, not needs. Psychological truth behind the law. People are wired to protect and advance themselves first. Key takeaways. Exam-friendly. Self-interest outlasts compassion. Gratitude fades. Incentives remain. Frame requests as mutual gain. Hide desperation. Show opportunity. Make helping you profitable. One-sentence summary. To get help, make it beneficial. People support what serves them. Law 14. Pose as a friend. Work as a spy. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Information is power. The best way to obtain it is through trust, not force. By appearing friendly and harmless, people willingly reveal what they would otherwise protect. Point 1. Knowledge gives strategic advantage. Explanation. The person who knows. Intentions. Weaknesses. Fears. Plans. Controls outcomes. Ignorance makes you reactive. Information makes you dominant. Point 2. People reveal more to friends than to enemies. Explanation. People guard themselves against obvious threats. They relax around those they trust. Friendship lowers defenses. Conversation becomes careless. Point 3. Listen more than you speak. Explanation. Talking reveals you. Listening reveals others. The less you share, the more they talk, the more they expose, the more leverage you gain. Point 4. Ask indirect questions. Explanation. Direct questions trigger suspicion. Indirect curiosity. Feels natural. Appears harmless. Extracts truth. Casual conversation is the best interrogation. Point 5. Appears sympathetic and non-judgmental. Explanation. People confess when they feel understood. If you validate feelings, avoid judgment, show empathy, they open doors voluntarily. Point 6. Gather weaknesses, not just facts. Explanation. True power comes from knowing what people fear, what they desire, where they are insecure. Weaknesses are leverage. Point 7. Historical example, Joseph Fouché. Explanation. Fouché rose to power by befriending everyone, listening carefully, collecting secrets. Information kept him indispensable, even to enemies. Point 8. Never reveal your true purpose. Explanation. If people know you're collecting information, they become guarded. Truth disappears. Your curiosity must look accidental. Point 9. Turn information into advantage quietly. Explanation. Never reveal how much you know. Use information to anticipate moves, influence decisions, avoid traps. Power works best unseen. Point 10. Friendship is a mask, not a contract. Explanation. This law does not mean betrayal. It means awareness. Friendship is an access point, not blind loyalty. Sentiment clouds judgment. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Office politics, negotiations, leadership, social dynamics. Those who listen dominate those who speak. Psychological truth behind the law. People love talking about themselves more than being listened to. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Information creates power. Trust lowers defenses. Listening extracts leverage. Curiosity should be hidden. Use knowledge discreetly. One-sentence summary. Win trust, gather information, and act from knowledge, never from ignorance. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. If you leave an enemy even a small chance to recover, they will seek revenge. A wounded enemy is more dangerous than a defeated one. Point 1. Partial victory is dangerous. Explanation. When you defeat someone halfway, they remember the humiliation. They wait patiently. They plan retaliation. Mercy does not erase resentment. It sharpens it. Point 2. An enemy allowed to recover becomes ruthless. Explanation. Someone who survives defeat, learns from mistakes, loses fear, gains emotional motivation. Revenge becomes their mission. Point 3. Fear ends conflict faster than forgiveness. Explanation. When an enemy is crushed completely, resistance disappears. Challenges stop. Order is restored. Fear prevents future rebellion better than kindness. Point 4. Leave no symbols of resistance. Explanation. Even small remnants. Inspire hope. Encourage followers. Keep hostility alive. Remove not just the enemy, but their influence. Point 5. Historical example. Cesare Borgia. Explanation. Borgia eliminated rivals fully and swiftly. Result. Non retaliation. No ongoing threats. Absolute control. Decisive action prevented future instability. Point 6. Never let an enemy save face. Explanation. Allowing dignity. Preserves pride. Fuels revenge. Keeps hostility alive. Total defeat breaks the will to fight. Point 7. Delay gives enemies time to regroup. Explanation. Hesitation allows alliances to form, resources to recover, plans to develop. Speed ensures dominance. Point 8. Use overwhelming force. Explanation. Half measures invite resistance. Overwhelming force shocks opponents, ends conflict quickly, discourages others. Decisiveness saves long-term effort. Point 9. Psychological destruction is as important as physical defeat. Explanation. Power ends when confidence collapses, hope disappears, identity is shaken. Breaking belief ends conflict permanently. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. End toxic conflicts decisively. Cut off repeated saboteurs. Set firm boundaries. Do not allow ongoing disrespect. Lingering conflict drains power. Point 11. When not to apply this law. Explanation. This law is situational, not constant. Avoid crushing when the enemy is too powerful. It creates public backlash. It damages reputation. Discretion remains essential. Psychological truth behind the law. People remember pain longer than generosity. Key takeaways. Exam-friendly. Mercy breeds revenge. Partial defeat invites retaliation. Speed prevents regrouping. Fear ensures stability. Decisive endings protect power. One-sentence summary. Finish conflicts completely. An enemy left standing will always strike back. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Too much presence breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds contempt. Value increases with scarcity, so does respect. Point 1. What is always available loses value. Explanation. When people see you constantly, they get used to you. They take you for granted. Your presence feels ordinary. Scarcity creates appreciation. Excess creates neglect. Point 2. Absence rekindles desire and curiosity. Explanation. When you disappear, people notice the gap. They remember your value. They begin to miss you. Absence fausse recognition. Point 3. Overexposure weakens authority. Explanation. Being everywhere makes you predictable, exposes flaws, reduces mystery. Mystery is a pillar of power. Point 4. Control when you appear and disappear. Explanation. Stratégique absence shows independence, signals self-worth, demonstrates you are not desperate. Powerful people choose when to be seen. Point 5. Familiarity encourages disrespect. Explanation. Too much closeness invites casual behavior, encourages boundary crossing, reduces reverence. Distance preserves dignity. Point 6. Historical example. Napoleon Bonaparte. Explanation. Napoleon carefully staged his public appearances. By appearing rarely, he magnified his image, built myth and authority, controlled perception. Visibility became an event. Point 7. Absence can reset power dynamics. Explanation. Stepping away breaks unhealthy patterns, forces others to adjust, restores balance. People realize your importance when you're gone. Point 8. Do not disappear completely. Explanation. Total disappearance erases relevance, invites replacement. Absence must be calculated, not permanent. Point 9. Use absence after success. Explanation. Leaving at your peak. Freezes positive perception. Prevents decline. Locks in admiration. Timing determines impact. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Don't attend every meeting. Limit availability. Step back after achievements. Avoid constant social visibility. Scarcity builds status. Psychological truth behind the law. Humans desire what they cannot constantly access. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Scarcity increases value. Overexposure kills respect. Mystery strengthens authority. Timing makes absence powerful. Distance preserves dignity. One-sentence summary. Disappear strategically. Absence reminds people of your worth more than constant presence ever will. Before we continue, do you know you can help us grow by subscribing and sharing? Please subscribe. Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Predictability gives others control over you. Unpredictability keeps them anxious and cautious. When people cannot anticipate your actions, they hesitate to challenge you. Point 1. Predictability is power's enemy. Explanation. If people can predict your reactions, your decisions, your limits, they can plan around you and manipulate you. Power weakens the moment you become readable. Point 2. Uncertainty creates psychological fear. Explanation. Humans fear the unknown more than known danger. When others don't know how you'll respond, when you'll act, what you'll tolerate, they stay alert, cautious, and defensive. Point 3. Suspended terror keeps people off balance. Explanation. Suspended terror does not mean violence. It means uncertainty. People ask themselves, will he react this time? Is she serious or joking? What happens if I cross the line? This mental tension weakens resistance. Point 4. Occasional unexpected actions reinforce control. Explanation. If you're usually calm, but suddenly enforce rules, unexpectedly reward or punish, change patterns without warning, your unpredictability becomes legendary. Point 5. Do not explain your sudden decisions. Explanation. Explaining restores predictability. When decisions appear sudden, firm, final, people stop testing boundaries. Point 6. Historical example, Richard Nixon. Explanation. Nixon cultivated the madman theory. Enemies believed he was capable of anything. He was emotionally unpredictable. This uncertainty altered their behavior, even without action. Point 7. Predictable mercy weakens authority. Explanation. If people know you always forgive, rules lose meaning. Discipline collapses. Exploitation begins. Occasional strictness preserves order. Point 8. Randomness must appear natural, not chaotic. Explanation. Unpredictability should feel controlled, intentional, calculated. Pure chaos looks weak and unstable. Point 9. Keep emotions hard to read. Explanation. If people can read your mood, they know when to push. They know when to retreat. Neutral expressions create uncertainty. Point 10. Use silence and delayed responses. Explanation. Delays increase anxiety, force speculation, heighten tension. Silence can be more intimidating than anger. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Don't always react the same way. Occasionally enforce boundaries unexpectedly. Avoid emotional transparency. Change routines strategically. Psychological truth behind the law. People behave best when consequences are uncertain. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Predictability invites manipulation. Uncertainty creates caution. Silence intimidates. Controlled randomness builds authority. Fear does not require force. One-sentence summary. When people cannot predict you, they fear crossing you, and fear preserves power. Law 18. Do not build fortresses. Isolation is dangerous. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Isolation cuts you off from information, allies, and reality. Power depends on awareness, connection, and influence, not withdrawal. Point 1. Isolation blinds you. Explanation. When you isolate yourself, information reaches you late or distorted. You miss subtle shifts in mood and power. You rely on secondhand reports. Isolation creates a false sense of security while danger grows unseen. Point 2. Power requires human networks. Explanation. Power flows through relationships, alliances, social currents. Cut yourself off, and you cut off power itself. Point 3. Fortresses attract enemies. Explanation. Isolation looks like fear, arrogance, weakness. It signals that you have something to hide or something to lose, inviting attack. Point 4. Enemies grow stronger while you stand still. Explanation. While you isolate, rivals build alliances. Opposition organizes. Narratives form without you. Silence allows others to define your image. Point 5. You lose the ability to influence. Explanation. Influence requires presence. Without contact, you cannot persuade. You cannot charm. You cannot correct misunderstandings. Distance kills soft power. Point 6. Historical example. Louis XVI. Explanation. Louis XVI isolated himself from the public and political reality. Result. Lost touch with the people. Missed warning signs. Was overthrown. Isolation accelerated collapse. Point 7. Crowds provide protection. Explanation. Being visible among others creates accountability, discourages direct attacks, generates support. Even rivals hesitate when witnesses are present. Point 8. Isolation encourages paranoia. Explanation. Without feedback, fear grows. Suspicion increases. Judgment deteriorates. Isolation amplifies imagined threats. Point 9. Move among people strategically. Explanation. This law does not mean blind openness. It means stay socially connected, gather intelligence, maintain presence, be visible, not vulnerable. Point 10. Build a web, not a wall. Explanation. Walls defend but trap. Webs detect movement, capture information, provide flexibility. Networks protect better than isolation. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Don't withdraw from office politics. Stay connected even when successful. Avoid cutting people off emotionally. Maintain diverse networks. Psychological truth behind the law. Humans survive and dominate through connection, not solitude. Key takeaways: exam-friendly. Isolation blocks information. Networks sustain power. Withdrawal invites attack. Presence enables influence. Connection prevents collapse. One-sentence summary. Power thrives in connection. Isolating yourself cuts you off from the very forces that protect you. Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Not everyone reacts the same way to insult, pressure, or loss. A single careless move against the wrong person can trigger lifelong revenge. Point 1. People respond to offense differently. Explanation. Some people forget quickly, forgive easily, move on. Others remember forever. Hide resentment. Wait patiently to strike. Power requires knowing the difference. Point 2. Never assume everyone is like you. Explanation. Judging others by your own temperament is dangerous. You may forget insults, laugh off disrespect, but others may interpret the same act as humiliation demanding retaliation. Point 3. The danger of the insecure and ego-fragile. Explanation. People with fragile egos overreact to criticism, obsess over respect, seek revenge to restore pride. They're the most dangerous to offend. Point 4. Beware of those with nothing to lose. Explanation. People who are desperate, marginalized, already ruined, fear nothing, and strike without restraint. They fight recklessly because consequences no longer matter. Point 5. Never publicly humiliate anyone. Explanation. Public embarrassment destroys dignity, creates lasting hatred, forces retaliation. If correction is necessary, do it privately. Point 6. Historical example. Qin Shi Huang. Explanation. He humiliated scholars publicly. Result. Secret resentment. Coordinated rebellion. Long-term instability. Humiliation creates enemies in silence. Point 7. Some enemies must be neutralized, not provoked. Explanation. If someone is vengeful, powerful, patient, do not insult them lightly. Either avoid them, placate them, or eliminate the threat completely. See Law 15. Point 8. Learn to read character before acting. Explanation. Observe how they treat insults, how they handle loss, how they react under stress. Character reveals future behavior. Point 9. Choose targets carefully. Explanation. If you must offend, target those who forgive. Target those who benefit from peace. Avoid those who seek vengeance. Strategy beats impulse. Point 10. Use indirect methods when necessary. Explanation. When dealing with sensitive individuals, use intermediaries. Soften messages. Avoid direct confrontation. Distance reduces backlash. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Don't mock insecure colleagues. Don't challenge fragile egos publicly. Don't underestimate quiet people. Avoid humiliating those below you. Psychological truth behind the law. People may forgive loss, but rarely forgive humiliation. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Not all people react equally. Fragile egos seek revenge. Humiliation creates lifelong enemies. Character predicts retaliation. Choose battles carefully. One-sentence summary. A single insult to the wrong person can destroy you. Know who you're dealing with before you act. Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Independence is the foundation of power. When you commit too deeply to one person, group, or cause, you surrender leverage. Point 1. Commitment creates dependency. Explanation. The moment you fully commit, others feel entitled to you. Your freedom shrinks. Your choices become predictable. Dependence makes you controllable. Point 2. Power comes from being needed, not needy. Explanation. When others need your support, they court you. They compromise. They compete for your favor. When you need them, the balance flips. Point 3. Avoid becoming emotionally attached to sides. Explanation. Emotional loyalty blinds judgment. You begin to defend bad decisions, ignore warning signs, fight unnecessary battles. Power requires emotional distance. Point 4. Let others compete for you. Explanation. By staying non-committal, you increase your value. You gain options. You maintain bargaining power. Scarcity creates demand. Point 5. Do not rush to take sides in conflicts. Explanation. Early commitment locks you in. Waiting allows you to gather information. See who gains advantage. Align with the winner. Neutrality buys time and insight. Point 6. Historical example. Queen Elizabeth I. Explanation. Elizabeth refused to marry or fully commit to alliances. Result. Retained sovereignty. Played rivals against each other. Maintained maximum leverage. Her indecision was strategic, not weakness. Point 7. Use promises sparingly. Explanation. Promises bind you. Instead, suggest possibilities. Offer conditional support. Keep outcomes open-ended. Ambiguity preserves freedom. Point 8. Avoid ideological traps. Explanation. Blind commitment to ideas or movements eliminates flexibility, creates enemies automatically, forces loyalty over logic. Power favors pragmatism, not dogma. Point 9. Keep your options visible. Explanation. Let people see. You have alternatives. You're not desperate. You can walk away. This deters exploitation. Point 10. Appear loyal without being bound. Explanation. You can show respect, offer cooperation, express alignment, without surrendering independence. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Avoid office factions. Don't tie identity to one company. Maintain multiple income paths. Keep emotional independence in relationships. Psychological truth behind the law. People value what they cannot fully control. Key takeaways: exam-friendly. Commitment reduces leverage. Neutrality preserves power. Let others pursue you. Emotional distance protects judgment. Flexibility beats loyalty. One-sentence summary. By refusing to commit fully, you stay free, valuable, and impossible to control. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. People reveal more and guard less when they believe they are smarter than you. Feigning ignorance disarms egos and opens doors that intelligence alone cannot. Point 1. Intelligence triggers defensive behavior. Explanation. When people sense you are sharp, they hide information. They compete with you. They try to dominate. Appearing less threatening lowers their guard. Point 2. Ego is the weak spot. Explanation. Most people crave superiority. When they believe, they outthink you. They outmaneuver you. They are teaching you. They expose strategies and mistakes. Point 3. Let others explain what you already know. Explanation. Listening silently feeds their ego, reveals their thinking, provides leverage. The more they talk, the more power you gain. Point 4. Feigned ignorance encourages overconfidence. Explanation. Overconfident people take risks, overextend, reveal vulnerabilities. Your naivety becomes their trap. Point 5. Never appear smarter than your superior. Explanation. Outshining provokes insecurity, creates resentment, invites sabotage, downplay intelligence around authority. Point 6. Historical example. Otto von Bismarck. Explanation. Bismarck often pretended confusion. Result. Opponents underestimated him. He maneuvered diplomatically, struck decisively when ready. Point 7. Hide your intentions behind simplicity. Explanation. Simple behavior masks complexity, avoids suspicion, keeps plans concealed. What seems obvious is often overlooked. Point 8. Ask questions instead of giving answers. Explanation. Questions shift control, reveal motives, guide conversations. Answers expose position. Questions extract information. Point 9. Let others think they are winning. Explanation. People relax when they feel victorious. They drop defenses, make careless decisions, underestimate risk. This is the moment to act. Point 10. Never play the fool too long. Explanation. Appearing stupid permanently loses respect, limits opportunity, damages authority. Use the mask strategically, remove it when needed. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Let colleagues underestimate you. Avoid showing full competence early. Ask more than you tell. Reveal strength only at decisive moments. Psychological truth behind the law. People protect themselves from equals, but expose themselves to fools. Key takeaways. Exam-friendly. Ego blinds judgment. Feigned ignorance disarms defenses. Listening builds leverage. Overconfidence creates mistakes. Timing reveals true power. One-sentence summary. By appearing less intelligent, you let others reveal everything. Then you strike with precision. Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. When you are weaker, resistance makes you vulnerable. Surrender buys time, sympathy, and strategic advantage. Power sometimes comes from yielding, temporarily. Point 1. Fighting when weak invites destruction. Explanation. Direct confrontation while weak exposes limitations, provokes stronger retaliation, accelerates defeat. Strategic retreat preserves power for later. Point 2. Surrender is not defeat, it is strategy. Explanation. True surrender buys time, preserves resources, confuses opponents, is a calculated pause, not an end. Point 3. Yielding feeds the opponent's ego. Explanation. When you submit, opponents feel victorious. Their guard drops. Aggression decreases. Ego satisfaction reduces vigilance. Point 4. Appearing harmless protects you. Explanation. If you seem defeated, you're underestimated. You're spared scrutiny. You gain freedom of movement. Threats are attacked. Non-threats are ignored. Point 5. Buy time to recover strength. Explanation. Time allows you to regroup, build alliances, strengthen position. Power favors patience. Point 6. Historical example. Napoleon Bonaparte. Explanation. After early setbacks, Napoleon retreated strategically. Result. Preserved forces. Returned stronger. Regained dominance. Retreat enabled resurgence. Point 7. Turn submission into moral superiority. Explanation. Calm surrender. Makes aggressors look cruel. Attracts sympathy. Shifts public perception. Moral leverage becomes political power. Point 8. Control the terms of your surrender. Explanation. Never surrender blindly. Set conditions, boundaries, future options. Power lies in shaping outcomes. Point 9. Use surrender to gather intelligence. Explanation. While underestimated, observe behavior, learn weaknesses, understand dynamics. Information is hidden power. Point 10. Strike when balance shifts. Explanation. Once strength returns, act decisively. Reverse roles. Reclaim authority. Delayed action maximizes impact. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Step back instead of arguing. Accept temporary losses. Avoid ego-driven fights. Rebuild quietly. Psychological truth behind the law. People relax after victory. This is when they are most vulnerable. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Resistance can destroy the weak. Surrender buys time and safety. Ego blinds winners. Retreat enables return. Timing defines power. One-sentence summary. Yield when weak, grow in silence, and strike only when the balance turns in your favor. Law 23. Concentrate your forces. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Power grows when energy, resources, and attention are focused, not scattered. Concentration multiplies impact. Dispersion weakens it. Point 1. Scattered effort dilutes power. Explanation. When you pursue too many goals, too many alliances, too many battles, you exhaust resources and lose momentum. Power requires focus. Point 2. Focus creates overwhelming force. Explanation. Concentrated effort breaks resistance, dominates competition, achieves decisive victories. A single strong strike beats many weak ones. Point 3. Identify your strongest asset. Explanation. Power multiplies when you invest in what already works. Strengthen your advantage. Double down on success. Weak areas drain energy. Strengths generate returns. Point 4. Avoid overextension. Explanation. Expansion without consolidation creates vulnerabilities, invites attack, weakens control. Secure one position before moving to the next. Point 5. Historical example. The Rothschilds. Explanation. The Rothschild family concentrated wealth and information. Result. Dominated financial markets. Controlled narratives. Sustained long-term power. Focus preserved dominance. Point 6. Keep allies close and few. Explanation. Too many allies create leaks, cause conflicts, dilute loyalty. A small, loyal circle is stronger than a large, divided one. Point 7. Focus attention where it matters most. Explanation. Attention is a resource. Direct it toward key relationships, strategic opportunities, decisiva moments. Ignore distractions. Point 8. Emotional focus strengthens authority. Explanation. Calm, controlled emotion. Commands respect. Enhances clarity. Prevents impulsive errors. Emotional discipline fuels power. Point 9. Timing requires concentration. Explanation. Decisiva moments are brief. Demand full commitment. Reward precision. Hesitation wastes opportunity. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Focus on one career advantage. Build one strong income stream first. Master one skill before adding more. Avoid multitasking power plays. Psychological truth behind the law. People fear concentrated strength more than widespread activity. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Focus multiplies power. Overextension creates weakness. Strengthen advantages first. Few allies outperform many. Timing demands total attention. One-sentence summary. Concentrated force overwhelms. Scattered effort collapses. Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Power often belongs not to the strongest or smartest, but to those who master social grace, timing, and restraint. The perfect courtier thrives in hierarchical environments. Point 1. Master the art of indirection. Explanation. Direct confrontation. Embarrasses superiors. Provokes resistance. Ends careers. Indirect communication preserves dignity while influencing outcomes. Point 2. Avoid public criticism of superiors. Explanation. Correctina superior publicly. Exposes their weakness. Triggers resentment. Invites revenge. Offer guidance privately and subtly. Point 3. Display effortlessness. Explanation. Struggling openly. Looks weak. Breaks illusion of control. Make competence look natural and calm. Point 4. Control your emotions. Explanation. Visible anger. Reduces authority. Makes you predictable. Emotional restraint signals superiority. Point 5. Flatter selectively and sincerely. Explanation. Crude flattery. Feels manipulative. Insults intelligence. Target ego needs subtly and authentically. Point 6. Never boast or overexplain. Explanation. Self-promotion. Reveals insecurity. Diminishes mystique. Let others speak for you. Point 7. Adapt to the power holder's mood. Explanation. Core dynamics shift. Observe. Preferences. Triggers. Habits. Alignment ensures survival. Point 8. Avoid becoming indispensable too quickly. Explanation. Indispensability breeds envy. Grow influence gradually to avoid backlash. Point 9. Guard your reputation carefully. Explanation. Court life magnifies rumors. Protect image through consistency, discretion, strategic silence. Point 10. Use timing over force. Explanation. Success depends on knowing when to speak, when to act, when to wait. Patience outperforms aggression. Point 11. Historical example. Baltasar Gratian. Explanation. Gratian advised elegance, restraint, and adaptability. Result. Enduring influence. Court survival. Intellectual dominance. Point 12. Modern applications. Work in life. Corporate environments mirror courts. Politics rewards subtlety. Social intelligence outperforms raw talent. Psychological truth behind the law. People respect those who make power feel effortless. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Indirection protects influence. Emotional control commands respect. Flattery must be subtle. Timing outweighs strength. Grace is power. One-sentence summary. The perfect courtier survives and thrives by mastering elegance, restraint, and strategic charm. Law 25. Recreate yourself. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Do not accept the identity given to you by birth, society, or circumstance. Power belongs to those who consciously design who they are and how they are perceived. Point 1. You are not fixed. Identity is a performance. Explanation. Most people live inside labels. Background. Class. Past mistakes. Powerful individuals shape identity deliberately, treating life as a stage. Point 2. Create a strong personal myth. Explanation. A myth simplifies your image, makes you memorable, controls narrative. People remember stories, not facts. Point 3. Control appearances ruthlessly. Explanation. Appearance communicates power before words. Clothing, posture, tone, and silence. Shape perception. Command respect. Create authority. Perception becomes reality. Point 4. Embrace theatricality. Explanation. Dullness repels attention. Strategic drama. Captures focus. Elevates presence. Signals confidence. Great leaders understand spectacle. Point 5. Separate inner self from outer image. Explanation. Reveal only what benefits you. Your inner doubts are private, are temporary. Your public image should be consistent and controlled. Point 6. Historical example. Julius Caesar. Explanation. Caesar carefully crafted his image, his speeches, his appearance. He became larger than life, unstoppable. Point 7. Shed old skins without apology. Explanation. Past versions of you may limit growth. Anchor perception. Reinvention requires abandonment without explanation. Point 8. Surprise people with evolution. Explanation. Sudden transformation. Resets expectations. Disorients rivals. Reclaims authority. Predictability traps you. Point 9. Design your public persona around strength. Explanation. Highlight confidence, decisiveness, vision. Hide insecurity, confusion. Selective exposure equals power. Point 10. Consistency creates believability. Explanation. Reinvention must be repeated, reinforced, lived daily. Consistency makes the new identity real. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Rebrand professionally. Redefine personal narrative. Control online identity. Reinvent career direction. Psychological truth behind the law. People believe what is presented confidently and repeatedly. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Identity is malleable. Perception equals power. Reinvention resets limitations. Image must be intentional. Consistency cements belief. One-sentence summary. Those who consciously shape their identity control how the world treats them. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Never allow your reputation to be stained by mistakes, cruelty, or unpopular actions. Power is preserved by appearing morally clean, while others handle the dirty work. Point 1. Reputation is more fragile than power. Explanation. You can survive mistakes, losses, failures, but a damaged reputation invites attack, erodes trust, weakens authority, protected at all costs. Point 2. Let others do the dirty work. Explanation. When harsh actions are necessary, use intermediaries, delegate blame, maintain distance. Power lies in appearing above conflict. Point 3. Scapegoats absorb blame. Explanation. When things go wrong, blame must land somewhere. Ensure it never lands on you. Choose scapegoats carefully, weak enough to fall, strong enough to appear credible. Point 4. Appear merciful and fair. Explanation. Even when punishment is required, let others recommend it. Approve reluctantly. Display compassion publicly. Mercy strengthens image. Point 5. Avoid direct involvement in controversy. Explanation. Direct engagement creates enemies, leaves evidence, exposes intent. Distance equals deniability. Point 6. Historical example. Cesare Borgia. Explanation. Borgia used a brutal subordinate to enforce order, then executed the subordinate publicly, claimed moral authority, gained loyalty. Clean hands control violence. Point 7. Use bureaucracy as a shield. Explanation. Rules, committees, and processes. Diffuse responsibility. Slow backlash. Obscure authorship. Systems protect reputations. Point 8. Hide mistakes quickly and quietly. Explanation. Public apologies. Highlight failure. Invite scrutiny. Quiet correction preserves dignity. Point 9. Be seen as the final arbiter, not the executor. Explanation. Executors attract hatred. Judges. Appear fair. Maintain distance. Retain authority. Always play the latter role. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Let teams deliver bad news. Avoid public arguments. Use structure for discipline. Maintain ethical appearance. Psychological truth behind the law. People judge leaders by appearances, not by behind-the-scenes actions. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Reputation is power. Distance protects authority. Blame must never reach you. Mercy improves image. Systems shield responsibility. One-sentence summary. Power survives when your image stays clean, even while others get their hands dirty. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe. Create a cult-like following. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. People crave meaning, certainty, and belonging. Those who offer a compelling belief system gain loyalty stronger than logic or money. Point 1. Humans have a deep need to believe. Explanation. Most people feel uncertain about the future, unspecial in their daily lives, hungry for purpose. A belief system fills this emotional vacuum. Point 2. Promise transformation, not just benefits. Explanation. Facts don't inspire devotion. Transformation does. People follow those who promise. A new identity, a better future, hidden knowledge. Belief thrives on hope. Point 3. Keep the message simple and emotional. Explanation. Complex ideas divide. Simple ideas unite. Use clear slogans, repeated phrases, emotional language. Simplicity makes belief contagious. Point 4. Create an us versus them mentality. Explanation. Belief strengthens when there is an enemy. Define. Outsiders. Non-believers. Opposing forces. Conflict sharpens loyalty. Point 5. Offer rituals and symbols. Explanation. Rituals reinforce identity. Create emotional bonding. Separate believers from outsiders. Symbols turn ideas into movements. Point 6. Encourage public commitment. Explanation. When people commit publicly, they defend belief harder. They fear embarrassment. They deepen loyalty. The more visible the commitment, the stronger the bond. Point 7. Keep some mystery alive. Explanation. Total transparency weakens belief. Mystery sparks curiosity, prevents disillusionment, sustains authority. Not knowing everything keeps followers engaged. Point 8. Position yourself as the interpreter. Explanation. You don't have to be divine, just a guide. When followers rely on you to explain events, interpret signs, define truth, your power becomes irreplaceable. Point 9. Historical example. Charles Manson. Explanation. Manson offered identity, purpose, belonging. Despite emptiness of ideas, belief created absolute control. Point 10. Beware, belief is dangerous. Explanation. This law grants immense power, but can turn volatile, can backfire, can destroy you if belief collapses. Belief must be managed carefully. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Influencers build belief-driven communities. Brands sell identity, not products. Leaders inspire loyalty through vision. Movements grow through shared meaning. Psychological truth behind the law. People will die for belief, but rarely for facts. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Belief overrides logic. Simplicity strengthens loyalty. Rituals bind groups. Mystery sustains authority. Identity creates devotion. One-sentence summary. Give people something to believe in, and they will follow you beyond reason. Law 28. Interaction with boldness. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Timidity invites doubt. Boldness commands respect. When you act decisively and confidently, others assume you know what you're doing. Point 1. Boldness creates its own authority. Explanation. People often judge truth by confidence. Bold action silences opposition, discourages challenge, establishes dominance. Hesitation signals weakness. Point 2. Most people fear decisive action. Explanation. Fear of failure, judgment, consequences keeps people passive. Bold actors exploit this hesitation. Point 3. Audacity confuses and overwhelms opponents. Explanation. Unexpected bold moves disrupt planning, force reactive behavior, shift momentum. People defend poorly when surprised. Point 4. Boldness masks minor weaknesses. Explanation. Confidence draws attention away from flaws, makes mistakes seem intentional, prevents scrutiny. Boldness magnifies perception of strength. Point 5. Once begun, follow through completely. Explanation. Half measures. Invite resistance. Encourage attack. Total commitment overwhelms opposition. Point 6. Historical example. Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon. Explanation. Caesar's bold, irreversible action forced loyalty, paralyzed rivals, changed history. No retreat created victory. Point 7. Boldness must be calculated, not reckless. Explanation. True boldness is planned, anticipates reactions, controls risk. Recklessness destroys credibility. Point 8. Never apologize for bold moves. Explanation. Apologies undermine authority, invite criticism, explain calmly, or say nothing. Point 9. Use boldness to set the agenda. Explanation. Those who act first define terms, control narrative, force others to respond. Initiative equals power. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Speak decisively in meetings. Launch ideas confidently. Set boundaries clearly. Act before consensus forms. Psychological truth behind the law. People follow certainty, even when it's flawed. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Boldness commands respect. Hesitation invites challenge. Decisive action shapes outcomes. Commitment deters resistance. Confidence amplifies power. One-sentence summary. When you act boldly, others hesitate, and hesitation hands you power. Before we continue, please share and subscribe. We want to grow with you. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Power favors those who think beyond the first move. Every action creates consequences. Those who foresee the end control the game. Point 1. The first step is the easiest part. Explanation. Starting is simple. Finishing is complex. Most failures happen because people focus on immediate gains, ignore long-term consequences, underestimate resistance. Power lies in foresight. Point 2. Think several moves ahead. Explanation. Every move triggers reactions. Strategic thinkers ask, what happens next? Who benefits later? What could go wrong? Planning neutralizes surprises. Point 3. Anticipate obstacles and opposition. Explanation. Expect resistance. Prepare. Countermeasures. Exit strategies. Backup plans. Surprises are less dangerous when expected. Point 4. Control the endgame. Explanation. Victory is not just winning, it's how it ends. A good end secures position, minimizes enemies, preserves reputation. Never leave endings to chance. Point 5. Avoid short-term temptations. Explanation. Immediate rewards. Distract from long-term goals. Create hidden costs. Trigger future problems. Delay gratification to maintain control. Point 6. Historical example. Otto von Bismarck. Explanation. Bismarck unified Germany by planning years ahead, anticipating alliances, shaping final outcomes. Patience secure dominance. Point 7. Visualize failure as well as success. Explanation. Ask, what if this fails? Will be blamed on me? How do I exit cleanly? Powerful planners prepare for loss. Point 8. Leave yourself an escape route. Explanation. Irreversible actions trap you, invite disaster. Flexibility keeps power intact. Point 9. Don't reveal the full plan. Explanation. Sharing strategy invites sabotage, creates leaks. Silence preserves advantage. Point 10. Adapt without losing direction. Explanation. Plans must adjust to reality. Maintain final goal. Rigidity breaks, vision endures. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Plan career transitions fully. Anticipate political backlash. Design exits before entry. Think beyond first success. Psychological truth behind the law. People who plan long-term dominate those who react short-term. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Foresight creates control. Endings define success. Anticipation prevents chaos. Flexibility preserves power. Silence protects strategy. One-sentence summary. Those who see the end before they begin shape outcomes and avoid traps. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. What looks easy looks superior. When your success appears effortless, people assume mastery, confidence, and authority. Point 1. Effort reveals struggle, not strength. Explanation. Displaying hard work. Signals insecurity. Exposes learning curves. Invites comparison. True power hides the struggle. Point 2. Effortlessness creates awe. Explanation. People admire grace under pressure, calm competence, smooth execution. Difficulty concealed becomes mystique. Point 3. Preparation must be invisible. Explanation. Practice relentlessly, but privately. Publicly reveal. Results. Confidence. Control. Behind the scenes is not for display. Point 4. Avoid over-explaining your process. Explanation. Explaining how hard something was breaks illusion, lowers perceived value. Let outcomes speak. Point 5. Make timing look natural. Explanation. Perfect timing appears instinctive. Even if calculated. Act smoothly. Avoid hesitation. Move decisively. Smoothness implies instinct. Point 6. Historical example. Leonardo da Vinci. Explanation. Leonardo's work appeared spontaneous. In reality, years of study, endless sketches, effort hidden created legend. Point 7. Downplay labor, highlight vision. Explanation. Focus attention on insight, creativity, direction, not sweat or sacrifice. Point 8. Struggle should never be your identity. Explanation. People respect those who rise easily, those who command, not grind. Hardship is private, not branding. Point 9. Calmness under pressure is a power signal. Explanation. When others panic, stay composed. Speak slowly. Act deliberately. Calmness magnifies authority. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Present results, not effort. Keep learning private. Deliver smoothly. Avoid bragging about hustle. Psychological truth behind the law. People associate ease with mastery. Key takeaways. Exam-friendly. Hide struggle. Reveal results. Calm equals control. Mystique builds authority. Preparation stays invisible. One-sentence summary. When success looks effortless, power looks natural and unquestioned. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. The person who defines the choices controls the outcome. Give people options, but only the ones that benefit you. Point 1. Freedom of choice is often an illusion. Explanation. People believe they are free when they can choose. They are not forced. But if all options lead to your advantage, you still win. Point 2. Control the frame, not the decision. Explanation. Instead of arguing outcomes, control how choices are presented. Limit alternatives. Shape context. Framing determines decisions. Point 3. Offer choices that all favor you. Explanation. Options should appear equal, seem fair, lead to your desired result. People feel empowered, even when guided. Point 4. Avoid direct orders. Explanation. Orders provoke resistance. Choices. Reduce hostility. Encourage cooperation. Maintain dignity. Control without confrontation. Point 5. The shrinking options technique. Explanation. Gradually reduce alternatives. Start broad. Narrow subtly. End with your solution. People adapt without noticing loss of freedom. Point 6. Historical example. Henry Kissinger. Explanation. Kissinger framed negotiations so every option. Advanced U.S. interests. Limited opponents. Control of options secured outcomes. Point 7. Use time pressure to limit choices. Explanation. Deadlines. Force quick decisions. Reduce analysis. Prevent alternatives. Urgency locks in outcomes. Point 8. Hide the best option among others. Explanation. Do not highlight your preferred choice. Let it appear reasonable, seem inevitable, feel self-selected. People defend their own choices. Point 9. Let others feel responsible. Explanation. When people choose, they accept consequences. They resist blaming you. Ownership protects power. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Offer 2 meeting times you prefer. Present limited deal options. Frame negotiations strategically. Guide decisions without force. Psychological truth behind the law. People value choice, even when it's controlled. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Choice equals control. Framing beats force. Limited options guide behavior. Ownership reduces backlash. Power hides behind freedom. One-sentence summary. Control the choices, and others will decide exactly as you want. Law 32. Play to people's fantasies. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. People prefer comforting illusions to harsh realities. Those who sell dreams gain followers, loyalty, and power. Point 1. Reality is often disappointing. Explanation. Daily life is filled with struggle, limitations, routine. Fantasies offer escape, and people cling to those who provide it. Point 2. Fantasies are more powerful than facts. Explanation. Facts inform, but fantasies motivate. People act when they believe in a better future, a special destiny, a hidden opportunity. Dreams move masses. Point 3. Identify the dominant fantasy. Explanation. Different people fantasize about wealth, freedom, recognition, love. Power comes from matching the dream. Point 4. Dress the truth in glamour. Explanation. Raw truth feels dull or harsh. Wrap ideas in hope, beauty, mystery. Presentation determines acceptance. Point 5. Avoid overexposing reality. Explanation. Too much realism shatters belief, creates disappointment. Reveal truth gradually, only when necessary. Point 6. Historical example, P.T. Barnum. Explanation. Barnum sold spectacle, not reality. Result. Massive attention, loyal crowds, enduring fame. Illusion fueled success. Point 7. Let people project their desires onto you. Explanation. Ambiguity allows personal interpretation, emotional investment. The less you define, the more they imagine. Point 8. Keep hope alive with small proofs. Explanation. Occasional wins. Reinforce belief. Prevent disillusionment. Hope must feel achievable. Point 9. Beware of exposing the fantasy too soon. Explanation. When illusions collapse, loyalty turns to anger. Followers feel betrayed. Control timing carefully. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Branding sells lifestyle, not product. Leaders sell vision, not tasks. Influencers sell transformation. Negotiators sell possibility. Psychological truth behind the law. People will forgive deception, but not crush dreams. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Fantasies motivate action. Hope creates loyalty. Illusion beats reality. Timing preserves belief. Dreams are power tools. One-sentence summary. Give people a dream to believe in, and they will follow you anywhere. Law 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Everyone has a weakness, a pressure point that can be used to influence or control them. Power belongs to those who find it and know when and when not to apply pressure. Point 1. Everyone has a hidden vulnerability. Explanation. No one is completely immune. Common weaknesses include ego and pride, fear of loss, desire for approval, insecurity, greed. The key is observation, not assumption. Point 2. Thumbscrews are emotional, not logical. Explanation. People think rationally, but act emotionally. Logic rarely moves behavior. Emotion, fear, desire, shame does. Point 3. Observe behavior under stress. Explanation. Pressure reveals weakness. Watch how someone reacts when criticized, ignored, challenged, threatened. Patterns expose pressure points. Point 4. Listen more than you speak. Explanation. People reveal their thumbscrews when they complain, boast, defend too strongly. Silence extracts information. Point 5. Ego is the most common thumbscrew. Explanation. Flattery, recognition, and status. Lower defenses. Increase compliance. Cloud judgment. Ego is power's easiest lever. Point 6. Fear of losing status or control. Explanation. Those with power fear exposure, replacement, decline. Subtle reminders of this fear create leverage. Point 7. Historical example. Cardinal Richelieu. Explanation. Richelieu studied opponents' ambitions and fears. Result. Neutralized rivals. Controlled allies. Maintained dominance. Knowledge became control. Point 8. Apply pressure gradually. Explanation. Sudden force. Triggers resistance. Creates hostility. Slow pressure. Feels natural. Avoids backlash. Point 9. Hide your knowledge of their weakness. Explanation. Once exposed, the weakness disappears. Defenses rise. Power lies in secrecy. Point 10. Know when not to use the thumbscrew. Explanation. Overuse breeds resentment, provokes revenge. Sometimes restraint preserves long-term power. Point 11. Modern applications, work and life. Negotiate using personal motivations. Manage teams by understanding fears. Influence clients through desires. Avoid exposing vulnerabilities publicly. Psychological truth behind the law. People are controlled by what they fear losing or desperately want. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Everyone has a weakness. Emotion overrides logic. Observation reveals leverage. Pressure must be subtle. Restraint prevents backlash. One-sentence summary. Find a pressure point, apply it gently, and you control the outcome. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. People treat you the way you teach them to treat you. Self-respect, confidence, and dignity command respect from others. Point 1. Self-belief precedes external respect. Explanation. If you doubt your worth, others sense it. They test boundaries. They diminish you. Confidence sets expectations. Point 2. Carry yourself with authority. Explanation. Posture, voice, and presence. Communicate status. Establish dominance. Influence perception. Behavior speaks before words. Point 3. Demand respect without begging. Explanation. Respect is not requested, it is assumed. Asking signals insecurity. Lowers status. Calm expectation creates compliance. Point 4. Set high standards for how you are treated. Explanation. Tolerating disrespect invites more. Clear boundaries. Define value. Protect authority. Standards shape behavior. Point 5. Royalty is composure under pressure. Explanation. Kings do not panic. Calm responses. Project control. Intimidate rivals. Reassure allies. Emotionlessness equals power. Point 6. Historical example. Louis XIV. Explanation. Louis XIV cultivated grandeur. Result. Absolute authority. Reverence. Unquestioned rule. Image sustained dominance. Point 7. Avoid familiarity that breeds contempt. Explanation. Too much accessibility. Reduces mystique. Encourages disrespect. Maintain a degree of distance. Point 8. Reward loyalty, punish disrespect. Explanation. Consistent reactions teach others. What is acceptable? What is costly? Authority must be enforced. Point 9. Don't lower yourself to prove strength. Explanation. Arguing, begging, or over-explaining diminishes stature, signals weakness. Silence preserves dignity. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Command presence in meetings. Set firm boundaries. Dress and speak with intention. Decline disrespect gracefully. Psychological truth behind the law. People mirror the confidence you project. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Self-respect commands respect. Authority is projected, not granted. Boundaries define power. Composure signals dominance. Image influences treatment. One-sentence summary. When you treat yourself like royalty, the world follows your lead. Law 35. Master the art of timing. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Power depends not only on what you do, but when you do it. Perfect timing turns ordinary actions into decisive victories. Point 1. Never act too soon or too late. Explanation. Acting early exposes you. Wastes momentum. Acting late misses opportunity. Hands advantage to others. Timing is the hidden edge. Point 2. Learn to read the rhythm of events. Explanation. Life moves in cycles. Rise and fall. Expansion and contraction. Powerful people sense when momentum is building or fading. Point 3. Patience is a strategic weapon. Explanation. Waiting reveals weaknesses, exhausts rivals, clarifies outcomes. Those who rush reveal insecurity. Point 4. Know when to wait and when to strike. Explanation. Wait when others are emotional. Information is incomplete. Strike when rivals hesitate. Conditions align. Decisive moments are brief. Point 5. Use delay to increase pressure. Explanation. Delays heighten anticipation, create anxiety, force mistakes. Silence and waiting can dominate faster than action. Point 6. Historical example. Napoleon Bonaparte. Explanation. Napoleon attacked only when ennemi morale dicte. Terrain favored him. Timing made battles appear effortless. Point 7. Recognize when time is against you. Explanation. When momentum shifts, act quickly, cut losses, change direction. Stubbornness destroys power. Point 8. Control the tempo. Explanation. Set pace by speeding up when others lag, slowing down when they rush. Tempo control equals dominance. Point 9. Blend patience with sudden boldness. Explanation. Long waiting followed by swift action. Shocks opponents. Maximizes impact. Surprise multiplies power. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Speak last in meetings. Delay responses strategically. Launch when attention peaks. Exit before decline shows. Psychological truth behind the law. People respect those who move with calm precision. Key takeaways. Exam-friendly. Timing magnifies power. Patience reveals opportunity. Delay creates leverage. Tempo controls outcomes. Precision beats speed. One-sentence summary. Those who master timing turn patience into power and action into victory. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. What you react to controls you. By ignoring what is out of reach or meant to provoke you, you deny others power over your emotions and actions. Point 1. Attention gives power to the provoker. Explanation. When you react, you validate the provocation. You elevate the source. You reveal emotional weakness. Silence removes their leverage. Point 2. Disdain signals superiority. Explanation. Ignoring something suggests it is beneath you, undermines its importance, shifts status upward. Nothing insults more than indifference. Point 3. Obsession reveals insecurity. Explanation. Chasing what you can't have exposes desire, shows vulnerability, invites manipulation. Detachment preserves power. Point 4. Emotional control prevents mistakes. Explanation. Anger and envy cloud judgment, lead to impulsive actions. Ignoring preserves clarity. Point 5. Rivals want reaction, not victory. Explanation. Provokers thrive on your anger, your frustration, your attention. Denying reaction defeats them psychologically. Point 6. Historical example. Emperor Augustus. Explanation. Augustus ignored insults and minor challenges. Result. Appeared above conflict. Maintained authority. Outlasted enemies. Point 7. Not everything deserves a response. Explanation. Responding to everything dilutes your authority, exhausts energy. Selective engagement signals judgment. Point 8. Use indifference as a strategic weapon. Explanation. Indifference creates uncertainty, undermines confidence, forces others to escalate or retreat. Both outcomes favor you. Point 9. Know when disdain is appropriate. Explanation. Disdain works when the issue is symbolic. The opponent seeks attention. When stakes are real, combine silence with strategy. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Ignore petty insults. Don't chase validation. Avoid reacting on social media. Let results speak. Psychological truth behind the law. People are tormented more by being ignored than opposed. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Attention equals power. Indifference asserts superiority. Emotional restraint protects authority. Silence defeats provocation. Reaction is a choice. One-sentence summary. By ignoring what provokes you, you strip it of power and elevate yourself. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Striking imagery and dramatic gestures overpower reason. People are moved more by what they see and feel than by what they think. Point 1. Images speak louder than words. Explanation. Words can be questioned, forgotten, debated. Images bypass logic, trigger emotion, stay in memory. Power is visual. Point 2. Spectacle creates authority. Explanation. Grand gestures command attention, signal confidence, inspire awe. Those who control the image control perception. Point 3. Dramatic acts simplify complex messages. Explanation. A single powerful symbol clarifies intent, unifies followers, eliminates confusion. Spectacle condenses meaning. Point 4. Mystery magnifies impact. Explanation. Partial revelation heightens curiosity, invites interpretation, enhances myth. What is hidden is more powerful than what is explained. Point 5. Stage your actions carefully. Explanation. Powerful acts are planned, timed, visually striking. Nothing is accidental. Point 6. Historical example. Napoleon's coronation. Explanation. Napoleon crowned himself. Controlled narrative. Displayed dominance. Established legitimacy. The act was symbolic mastery. Point 7. Spectacle distracts from weakness. Explanation. Dramatic display. Diverts attention. Covers flaws. Resets focus. Perception outweighs reality. Point 8. Appeal to emotion, not reason. Explanation. Masses respond to drama, symbols, ritual. Logic persuades few. Spectacle moves many. Point 9. Avoid overuse. Explanation. Too much spectacle loses effect, appears desperate. Rarity preserves power. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Powerful presentations. Strategic silence before action. Symbolic exits and entrances. Visual branding. Psychological truth behind the law. Humans remember feelings long after facts fade. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Visuals dominate perception. Drama creates influence. Symbols simplify power. Mystery enhances authority. Timing defines impact. One-sentence summary. Those who master spectacle shape reality by shaping what people see and feel. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Blend in outwardly while remaining independent inwardly. Openly defying norms provokes resistance. Quiet difference preserves freedom. Point 1. Open nonconformity invites punishment. Explanation. When you openly reject customs, you threaten group identity. You trigger defensiveness. You attract enemies. Society protects its norms. Point 2. Conformity is a mask, not surrender. Explanation. Acting like others buys safety, lowers suspicion, creates access. You keep your true beliefs private. Point 3. Human groups enforce uniformity. Explanation. Groups reward familiar behavior, shared rituals. Difference is tolerated only when invisible. Point 4. Outsmart the crowd by appearing ordinary. Explanation. Camouflage allows observation, strategy, advantage. The unseen thinker controls outcomes. Point 5. Choose battles carefully. Explanation. Rebellion costs power unless you already dominate. You have protection. Until then, patience is strength. Point 6. Historical example, Galileo Galilei. Explanation. Galileo recanted publicly, preserved his life, continued his work privately. Survival sustained influence. Point 7. Use subtle signals to like-minded allies. Explanation. Discretion builds. Quiet networks. Shared understanding. Power grows underground before surfacing. Point 8. Avoid moral exhibitionism. Explanation. Displaying superiority breeds resentment, invites sabotage. Humility protects intelligence. Point 9. When power is secured, you may reveal difference. Explanation. Once dominant, norms bend around you. Eccentricity becomes genius. Timing is everything. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Adapt to workplace culture. Keep radical ideas private. Dress and speak the part. Influence quietly. Psychological truth behind the law. People fear what challenges their identity. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Visible difference invites hostility. Conformity preserves freedom. Intelligence thrives in disguise. Timing determines safety. Power favors subtlety. One-sentence summary. Hide your difference, protect your freedom, and let your mind roam unseen. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Emotional reactions cloud judgment. When people are angry, fearful, or confused, they lose control, while you gain it. Point 1. Emotional people are easy to manipulate. Explanation. Strong emotions. Short-circuit logic. Create impulsive behavior. Reveal intentions. Calm observers dominate emotional actors. Point 2. Anger is a strategic weakness. Explanation. An angry opponent overreacts, makes public mistakes, exposes vulnerabilities. Provocation becomes leverage. Point 3. Stir confusion to gain control. Explanation. Uncertainty slows decision-making, causes missteps, shifts power. Chaos benefits the prepared. Point 4. Stay calm while others react. Explanation. Your composure signals dominance, enhances credibility, makes others doubt themselves. Stillness amid chaos is authority. Point 5. Use emotional triggers sparingly. Explanation. Small provocations. Test reactions. Gather intelligence. Overuse backfires. Point 6. Historical example, Otto von Bismarck. Explanation. Bismarck provoked opponents, forced emotional responses, engineered political advantage. Emotion became his weapon. Point 7. Never let others stir your emotions. Explanation. If provoked, pause, observe, respond strategically. Control begins within. Point 8. Emotional turmoil reveals secrets. Explanation. Upset people. Speak too much. Reveal plans. Misjudge allies. Emotion betrays truth. Point 9. Choose the right moment to stir. Explanation. Effective stirring is subtle, is timed. Serve a goal. Random chaos weakens you. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Let rivals overreact. Stay calm in conflict. Ask provocative questions. Watch who loses composure. Psychological truth behind the law. The one who controls emotion controls the outcome. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Emotion clouds judgment. Provocation creates advantage. Calm equals control. Chaos exposes weakness. Timing determines success. One-sentence summary. By keeping calm while others lose control, you turn chaos into power. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Nothing is truly free. What costs you nothing often costs you freedom, leverage, or dignity later. Point 1. Free offers hide hidden obligations. Explanation. A free gift usually creates unspoken debt, future expectation, loss of independence. Powerful people avoid invisible chains. Point 2. Paying your own way signals strength. Explanation. When you pay, you maintain control. You own nothing. You set the terms. Independence commands respect. Point 3. Free makes you vulnerable to control. Explanation. Those who accept freebies become predictable, can be manipulated, lose negotiating power. Dependence weakens authority. Point 4. Generosity can be a trap. Explanation. Excessive generosity masks manipulation, builds silent leverage, buys loyalty cheaply. Nothing is given without intent. Point 5. Self-reliance protects power. Explanation. When you rely on yourself, you move freely. You negotiate confidently. You remain unpredictable. Power thrives on autonomy. Point 6. Historical example. Renaissance patrons. Explanation. Artists funded by patrons gained support, lost creative freedom. Dependence limited influence. Point 7. Know when to give, not take. Explanation. Giving strategically builds authority, puts others in your debt. Receiving reverses the power dynamic. Point 8. Cheap gains cost you long-term. Explanation. Short-term freebies reduce credibility, undermine value. True power invests, not begs. Point 9. Avoid appearances of desperation. Explanation. Taking anything free signals neediness, lowers status. Scarcity increases worth. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Decline free favors. Pay for expertise. Avoid emotional debts. Price your value properly. Psychological truth behind the law. Independence intimidates manipulators. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Free creates obligation. Independence preserves power. Self-reliance commands respect. Giving, receiving. Hidden costs are real. One-sentence summary. What you pay for keeps you free. What you get free often enslaves you. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. What comes before you shapes how you are judged. Taking over from a legendary figure invites unfair comparison and impossible expectations. Point 1. Great predecessors cast long shadows. Explanation. A celebrated leader sets unrealistic standards, creates nostalgia, makes successors look inadequate. Comparison is unavoidable and cruel. Point 2. People resist change after greatness. Explanation. Followers cling to familiar style, past success. Any deviation feels like decline. Point 3. Imitation guarantees failure. Explanation. Copying a great figure looks weak, feels inauthentic, highlights difference. You lose both originality and authority. Point 4. Create a new path or start elsewhere. Explanation. True power comes from new territory, fresh rules, independent identity. Avoid inherited expectations. Point 5. If you must follow, break the pattern. Explanation. Change. Style. Structure. Direction. Contrast resets perception. Point 6. Historical example. Louis XVI versus Louis XIV. Explanation. Louis XVI followed a legend. Result. Constant comparison. Loss of authority. Eventual downfall. Legacy crushed leadership. Point 7. People love the original, not the successor. Explanation. The first sets the myth. Successors inherit flaws, receive blame. Legends are protected by memory. Point 8. Redefine the role to regain control. Explanation. Rewrite expectations. New metrics, new vision, new culture. Control the narrative early. Point 9. Distance yourself from the past. Explanation. Symbolic breaks. New teams, new rituals, new language. Signals authority. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Avoid replacing icons directly. Build your own niche. Led differently, not better. Create fresh standards. Psychological truth behind the law. People fear loss of greatness more than failure. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Great legacies trap successors. Comparison destroys authority. Originality builds power. New paths avoid old shadows. Control perception early. One-sentence summary. Never compete with a legend on their ground. Create a new arena where you define greatness. Law 42. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Groups draw strength from leaders. Remove or neutralize the leader, and the group loses direction, confidence, and cohesion. Point 1. People follow symbols of authority. Explanation. Most groups look to a central figure, derive confidence from leadership. Without the leader, unity collapses. Point 2. Target the source of influence, not the masses. Explanation. Attacking followers is slow, creates martyrs, strengthens resistance. Eliminating the leader is efficient. Point 3. Leaders shape group morale. Explanation. A leader interprets events, controls emotion, sets tone. Remove them, and confusion spreads. Point 4. Hidden leaders can be more powerful than visible ones. Explanation. Real power may lie with advisors, financiers, ideologues. Identify true shepherds before striking. Point 5. Neutralization is not always physical. Explanation. Neutralizing can mean discrediting, isolating, removing influence. Subtlety preserves stability. Point 6. Historical example. Napoleon versus enemy generals. Explanation. Napoleon targeted commanders. Result. Armies lost coordination. Battles were won quickly. Leadership was the key. Point 7. Avoid creating martyrs. Explanation. Publique destruction can energize followers. Quiet removal prevents backlash. Point 8. Replace leadership vacuum quickly. Explanation. Power abhors emptiness. Install loyal figures. Controlled alternatives. Prevents regrouping. Point 9. Leaders are often vulnerable through ego. Explanation. Leaders seek attention, overestimate loyalty. These weaknesses expose them. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Undermine opposition leadership. Influence decision-makers. Neutralize office power brokers. Focus persuasion at the top. Psychological truth behind the law. People seek direction, remove it, and fear replaces loyalty. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Leadership binds groups. Target influence, not numbers. Confusion weakens resistance. Subtle removal prevents backlash. Control the aftermath. One-sentence summary. Break the leader's grip, and the group falls apart on its own. Before we continue, do you know the blessings that comes with subscribing to this amazing channel? Please share and subscribe. Thank you. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. People are ruled more by emotion than reason. To influence behavior sustainably, you must win feelings and beliefs, not arguments. Point 1. Reason alone rarely changes behavior. Explanation. Fact can be ignored, rationalized away, resisted, but emotions bypass logic, drive loyalty, shape long-term decisions. Persuasion begins in the heart. Point 2. Appeal to self-interest and identity. Explanation. People respond when you align with their desires. Validate their self-image. Make them feel understood. Influence grows when they see themselves in your message. Point 3. Empathy is a tool of power. Explanation. Understanding emotions allows you to anticipate reactions, lower defenses, build trust. Empathy disarms more effectively than force. Point 4. Make others feel chosen and valued. Explanation. Recognition creates attachment, inspires loyalty, encourages sacrifice. People fight harder for those who see them. Point 5. Symbols and stories outperform logic. Explanation. Stories create meaning, trigger emotion, are remembered. Symbols unify groups faster than explanations. Point 6. Historical example. Napoleon Bonaparte. Explanation. Napoleon inspired pride, created emotional bonds, made soldiers feel destined. They followed him into impossible battles. Point 7. Avoid coercion. It breeds resentment. Explanation. Force creates compliance, destroys loyalty. Influence that feels voluntary lasts longer. Point 8. Align your goals with their emotional needs. Explanation. Tie your objectives to hope, security, belonging, purpose. People adopt your goals as their own. Point 9. Consistency builds emotional trust. Explanation. Erratic behavior confuses, weakens credibility. Consistency reassures and stabilizes loyalty. Point 10. Modern applications work in life. Inspire teams, don't command. Use storytelling in leadership. Validate before persuading. Build emotional buy-in. Psychological truth behind the law. People justify decisions with logic, but make them with emotion. Key takeaways: exam-friendly. Emotion drives loyalty. Empathy unlocks influence. Stories persuade better than facts. Recognition builds allegiance. Voluntary loyalty beats force. One-sentence summary. Win emotions first, and minds will follow willingly. Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with a mirror effect. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. By reflecting people's behavior back at them, you confuse, expose, and control them. The mirror disarms by imitation and infuriates by revelation. Point 1. People are unsettled by their own reflection. Explanation. When someone sees their actions mirrored, they feel exposed. They lose moral footing. They become self-conscious. The mirror turns their behavior into a weapon against them. Point 2. Mirroring disarms aggression. Explanation. Aggressors expect resistance. When you mirror instead, they lose momentum. Their strategy collapses. Confusion replaces confidence. No enemy plans for a reflection. Point 3. The mirror forces self-confrontation. Explanation. People hate seeing their hypocrisy, their manipulation, their cruelty. The mirror silently accuses without words. Point 4. Match their pace, tone, and style. Explanation. Subtle imitation. Bidrapport. Lowers defenses. Creates psychological dominance. They feel understood, then unsettled. Point 5. Exaggerated mirroring infuriates. Explanation. Slight exaggeration. Highlights absurdity. Provokes anger. Pushes them off balance. They recognize themselves and hate it. Point 6. Historical example, Gandhi. Explanation. Gandhi mirrored British oppression. Peaceful resistance. Morality fliction. The empire was shamed by its own image. Point 7. The mirror is hard to attack. Explanation. Fighting a mirror looks irrational. Exposes insecurity. Your opponent risks self-destruction. Point 8. Use silence as a mirror. Explanation. Silence reflects awkwardness, aggression, guilt. People fill silence with truth. Point 9. Don't overuse the technique. Explanation. Constant mirroring appears mocking, reveals intent. Precision keeps power hidden. Point 10. Modern applications work in life. Match negotiation tactics. Reflect passive aggression. Use silence in arguments. Expose manipulation calmly. Psychological truth behind the law. People fear self-awareness more than opposition. Key takeaways: exam-friendly. Reflection disarms. Exposure provokes emotion. Silence magnifies effect. Subtlety maintains control. Timing determines success. One-sentence summary. By reflecting others back to themselves, you make them fight their own image and lose. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. People fear sudden change, even when it benefits them. To maintain power, introduce reform gradually, while making people feel secure and included. Point 1. Humans are creatures of habit. Explanation. Familiar routines. Provide comfort. Create identity. Reduce anxiety. Rapid change triggers fear and resistance. Point 2. Excessive reform threatens status. Explanation. Change often means loss of power, loss of relevance, loss of security. Those threatened will sabotage you. Point 3. Preach change before enforcing it. Explanation. Repeated messaging normalizes ideas, softens resistance. creates anticipation. People must expect change before accepting it. Point 4. Introduce change in small, symbolic steps. Explanation. Small reforms feel manageable, seem reversible, build confidence. Momentum grows quietly. Point 5. Preserve familiar symbols. Explanation. Keeping old symbols reassures the masses, masks deeper transformation. Appearance of continuity prevents panic. Point 6. Historical example. Augustus Caesar. Explanation. Al-Hushtish kept republican forms, slowly centralized power. Rome changed without rebellion. Point 7. Let others claim ownership of reform. Explanation. When people believe it's their idea, they shaped it, resistance vanishes. Point 8. Avoid humiliating the old guard. Explanation. Sudden displacement breeds resentment, sparks revenge. Honor the past while replacing it. Point 9. Build alliances before major shifts. Explanation. Secure influencers, gatekeepers. Change succeeds when supported from within. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Roll out policies in phases. Frame reforms as improvements, not disruptions. Keep familiar rituals. Communicate relentlessly. Psychological truth behind the law. People accept change when it feels safe and gradual. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Sudden change triggers resistance. Gradual reform preserves stability. Messaging precedes action. Familiarity masks transformation. Inclusion reduces opposition. One-sentence summary. Change succeeds not by force, but by patience, reassurance, and timing. Law 46. Never appear too perfect. The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene. Core principle. Appearing flawless provokes envy, resentment, and hostility. A touch of imperfection makes you human, relatable, and safer. Point 1. Perfection invites envy. Explanation. When you seem too perfect, others feel inferior. Jealousy grows silently. Enemies form quietly. Envy is one of the most dangerous emotions. Point 2. Envy always seeks an outlet. Explanation. People rarely admit envy. Instead, it becomes gossip, sabotage, passive resistance. Perfection gives envy a target. Point 3. Small flaws disarm hostility. Explanation. Minor, controlled imperfections. Lower defenses. Reduce intimidation. Make others comfortable. People relax around the human, not the flawless. Point 4. Relatability builds protection. Explanation. When others see shared weaknesses, common struggles, they empathize instead of attack. Point 5. Appear effortful, not effortless. Explanation. When success looks too easy, others feel cheated. Resentment rises. Showing effort justifies success, softens jealousy. Point 6. Historical example. Renaissance courtiers. Explanation. Successful courtiers downplayed brilliance, made minor errors publicly. They survived envy-filled courts. Point 7. Let others feel superior at times. Explanation. Occasional deference soothes egos, creates allies. You lose nothing and gain safety. Point 8. Avoid flaunting success. Explanation. Overdisplay attracts attention, signals arrogance, invites attack. Quiet confidence preserves power. Point 9. Control your imperfections. Explanation. Choose flaws that don't threaten competence. Appear harmless. Never reveal real weaknesses. Point 10. Modern applications, work and life. Share learning moments. Accept small mistakes publicly. Praise others' contributions. Keep achievements understated. Psychological truth behind the law. People forgive flaws, but punish superiority. Key takeaways, exam-friendly. Perfection breeds envy. Envy creates enemies. Minor flaws disarm hostility. Relatability protects power. Modesty extends influence. One-sentence summary. A little imperfection protects you. Flawless brilliance makes you a target. Law 47. Do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. From the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This law warns that success can be more dangerous than failure. When you win, emotions like pride, greed, and overconfidence can push you to overreach, turning victory into downfall. True power lies in knowing your limit and stopping at the right moment. 1. Victory creates overconfidence. What means? After winning, people often believe they are invincible. This false confidence blinds them to risks they would normally see. Why it's dangerous? You underestimate enemies. You ignore warning signs. You take unnecessary risks. Example: a general wins a major battle and decides to press forward instead of securing territory. His tired army is ambushed and destroyed. Lesson: success dulls caution. Stay alert, especially after winning. 2. Power has a natural limit. What means? Every situation has an optimal endpoint. Beyond that point, gains turn into losses. Why it's dangerous? People become resentful. Allies feel threatened. You attract enemies. Example: a politician wins popularity by reforming a system. Pushing too many reforms too fast causes backlash and removal from office. Lesson: power grows best when it stops short of excess. 3. Greed turns winners into losers. What means? After achieving success, the desire for more often replaces strategy. Why it's dangerous? You risk what you already have. You provoke resistance. You lose moral and strategic high ground. Example: a wealthy business owner expands aggressively, ignores cash flow, and collapses during a downturn. Lesson: enough is often more powerful than more. 4. Enemies are born after victory. What means? Defeated rivals may accept loss, but crushing them completely humiliates them, making revenge inevitable. Why it's dangerous? Humiliation breeds long-term enemies. Quiet rivals become determined foes. Example: a ruler destroys a rival family instead of sparing them. Surviving relatives plot revenge for decades. Lesson: leave enemies dignity. It keeps them passive. 5. Knowing when to stop is a strategic skill. What means? The ability to halt momentum is rare and powerful. Why it's effective? You appear disciplined. You preserve resources. You maintain balance. Example: a negotiator wins key concessions and ends talks immediately, leaving the other side relieved rather than hostile. Lesson: stopping early often secures long-term dominance. 6. The high point is invisible in the moment. What it means? You rarely know when you've reached the peak until you go past it. Why it's dangerous? Success masks decline. Momentum fil permanent. Example: an artist enjoys massive fame, overproduces work, and loses public respect. Lesson: assume the peak is closer than it appears. 7. Power is about control, not expansion. What means? Power isn't about taking everything. It's about holding what matters. Why it works? Controlled power lasts. Excess power collapses. Example: an empire expands too far, overstretches its resources, and breaks apart, e.g., Napoleon's empire. Lesson: sustainable power beats explosive growth. 8. Withdrawal can look like strength. What means? Stepping back at the right time signals wisdom, not weakness. Why it's effective? Others respect restraint. You maintain leverage. You avoid decline. Example: a leader retires at peak popularity, becoming legendary rather than disgraced. Lesson: and on a high note, core message of Law 47. When you win, stop. Consolidate. Protect your gains. Power is not about endless conquest. It's about knowing when to stop moving forward. Practical applications. In business, don't overexpand after success. In politics, don't overuse authority. In relationships, don't dominate, maintain balance. In life, quit while you're ahead. One sentence summary: the greatest threat to power is not failure, but the inability to stop after success. Law 48. Assume formlessness. From the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Core idea: to maintain power, you must be fluid, adaptable, and unpredictable. Fixed forms, rigid plans, identities, or structures make you easy to attack. When you assume formlessness, you become impossible to pin down, control, or defeat. Greene uses water as the perfect metaphor. It has no shape, yet can erode mountains, flood cities, or flow quietly around obstacles. 1. Fixed form is the enemy of power. What it means? Anything rigid, rules, habits, systems, reputations, eventually breaks under pressure. Why it's dangerous? Enemies learn your patterns. Circumstances change, you don't. You become predictable. Example: a ruler governs the same way for decades. New social realities emerge, and he's overthrown because he cannot adapt. Lesson: what worked yesterday can destroy you tomorrow. 2. Power requires constant adaptation. What it means? To stay powerful, you must adjust your tactics as situations evolve. Why it works? You survive crises. You exploit new opportunities. You stay ahead of rivals. Example: a business that shifts from physical stores to online platforms survives while rigid competitors collapse. Lesson: adaptability is stronger than strength. 3. Be unpredictable to control the game. What it means? When people can't predict your next move, they lose strategic advantage. Why it's powerful? Enemies hesitate. Rivals miscalculate. You keep initiative. Example: a negotiator sometimes compromises, sometimes resists. Opponents cannot form a strategy against him. Lesson: predictability invites manipulation. 4. Do not over-identify with a role or image. What it means? Power weakens when you become trapped by your own identity. Why it's dangerous? You defend appearances instead of interests. You resist necessary change. Others exploit your image. Example: a leader known as strong refuses to retreat, even when retreat is wise, and suffers defeat. Lesson: use identities, never become them. 5. Flow around obstacles instead of attacking them. What it means? Direct confrontation is often costly. Formlessness allows indirect solutions. Why it works? You conserve energy. You avoid resistance. You win without fighting. Example: rather than confronting a superior head-on, you quietly shift alliances and weaken them from the sides. Lesson: power prefers subtlety over force. 6. Decentralize to avoid collapse. What means? Concentrated power structures are fragile. Flexible ones endure. Why it's effective? Loss in one area doesn't destroy the whole. You can retreat and regroup. Example: movements without a single leader survive crackdowns better than rigid hierarchies. Lesson: what has no center cannot be easily destroyed. 7. Retreat is a form of advance. What it means? Pulling back at the right moment preserves strength and creates future advantage. Why it's strategic? You avoid unnecessary losses. You reset the battlefield. Example: a general withdraws temporarily, luring the enemy into exhaustion before counterattacking. Lesson: sometimes survival is victory. 8. Stay internally solid, externally flexible. What it means? Your values and long-term goals remain steady, but your methods must change. Why it matters? You don't lose direction. You stay resilient. Example: a leader maintains a clear vision, but changes strategy as conditions shift. Lesson: formlessness is not chaos. It is controlled flexibility. Core message of Law 48. By taking a shape, by having a visible plan, you open yourself to attack. To stay powerful, avoid rigidity. Be fluid. Be adaptable. Be everywhere and nowhere. Practical applications. Leadership: adapt style to people and situations. Business: pivot with markets and technology. Politics: shift tactics without changing goals. Personal life: don't let labels limit growth. One-sentence summary: the strongest position is the one that cannot be defined, predicted, or confined. Thank you for watching. If you made it here, you will become more powerful. Like, share, and subscribe.